Disney builds worlds designed to make you forget everything outside the gates. The music never stops. The lighting is perfect. Every detail exists to keep you comfortable and completely trusting. But what most visitors never think about are the stories embedded inside the rides themselves. Incidents handled quietly. Settlements signed without headlines.
Fatal alligator attack at Disney World.
Is devastated by this tragic accident.
And when you're looking at a place like Disney, you just wouldn't expect an alligator to be in there.
And deaths that rewrote the safety rules every theme park follows today. This is what Disney never put on the brochure. Columbia Christmas Fatality. A quiet Christmas Eve aboard the sailing ship Columbia turned into a devastating tragedy beneath the towering masts of the Rivers of America at Disneyland Park. The vessel, operating since 1958, is designed to recreate 18th century maritime life as it travels through Frontierland. On December 24, 1998, during a routine docking maneuver, a critical failure occurred. A heavy metal cleat, improperly secured and under extreme rope tension, suddenly tore loose with violent force. The detached cleat struck 2 guests and a cast member. Among them was Luan Phi Dawson, a 33-year-old visitor from Washington, who suffered fatal head trauma due to a skull fracture and brain hemorrhage. His wife was seriously injured, while the cast member required extensive surgery. The incident led to a major investigation into safety procedures, maintenance standards, and docking operations across the park. In response, Disneyland introduced stricter protocols for securing vessels and handling high-tension equipment to reduce the risk of similar accidents. Today, the Columbia continues its voyages through Frontierland, appearing as a peaceful tribute to maritime history, even as it carries the memory of the tragedy that once unfolded during what was meant to be a festive holiday evening. Now let's talk about our special topic. Some people claim this giant frisbee ride belongs to Disneyland. Recently, Disney has already faced another major accident controversy, and now this terrifying footage is spreading everywhere. Reports say the giant frisbee's safety lock suddenly unlocked, putting riders in serious danger. However, there is still no confirmed evidence proving the story is real. So is this incident authentic or completely fabricated? Drop your thoughts below. Mountain derailment kills. Before a single train ever reached full speed, something beneath Big Thunder Mountain Railroad was already waiting to go wrong. Since 1979, the Mine Train coaster at Disneyland Park had delivered fast turns, sudden drops, and the mix of fear and excitement that defines a classic thrill ride. Designed as a runaway train through a fictional Old West mining region, it sends guests through dark tunnels, sharp bends, and outdoor sections wrapped around a cursed mountain. Its detailed scenery and synchronized effects depend on precise engineering and constant inspection. On September 5, 2003, that precision failed. Deep inside the attraction's tunnel system, a sudden mechanical malfunction caused a train to derail mid-ride. What began as a normal journey quickly turned into panic as the cars left the track and came to a violent stop. Passengers were caught in the chaos, and the incident resulted in 1 death and several injuries before emergency responders reached the scene. The entire environment was thrown into confusion and fear as evacuation efforts began under difficult conditions. The ride was immediately closed as investigators examined what had gone wrong. Engineers and safety officials reviewed the full system, including track design, wheel assemblies, and operational procedures. Their findings led to significant changes, including upgraded components, stricter inspection routines, and improved monitoring systems. Today, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad continues to operate as one of the park's most popular attractions, but under far more rigorous safety standards shaped by the tragedy that unfolded in its underground tunnels. Cart spin death. What was intended as a lighthearted ride filled with joy and laughter quickly turned into an unimaginable tragedy no child could have anticipated. Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin, inspired by the film Who Framed Roger Rabbit, opened at Disneyland Park in 1994. The attraction featured spinning taxi-style vehicles carrying 2 to 3 riders through colorful animated scenes. combining sharp turns with continuous 360-degree rotations designed for excitement and fun. On the evening of September 22, 2000, 10-year-old Brandon Zakar visited the park with his family. Around 10 p.m., he boarded the ride with his mother and younger brother, while his father followed in a separate vehicle. Shortly after the ride began, Brandon fell from the taxi when his mother was briefly distracted. In a devastating turn of events, he became trapped beneath the moving vehicle and was dragged for several feet before it finally came to a stop. Emergency response was not immediate, as staff and bystanders rushed to understand what had happened. Firefighters were later called to the scene and used specialized equipment to free him. Although Brandon was found without a pulse, emergency responders were able to revive him before transporting him urgently to UCI Medical Center. He suffered severe internal injuries and significant oxygen deprivation, leaving him in critical condition with permanent brain damage. Despite extensive medical care over the following years, Brandon never recovered his former physical strength or cognitive abilities. After nearly a decade of ongoing complications linked to the incident, he passed away on January 26, 2009, at the age of 13, at Children's Hospital of Orange County. Dark Lagoon story. What looked like a calm, expensive view was quietly hiding a predator, and nobody standing there realized they were already in the path of a disaster. The Seas Lagoon is a large artificial body of water located near Magic Kingdom and surrounding resort areas, including the Grand Floridian. It is primarily used for scenic views, ferry transport, and resort ambiance rather than swimming. In 2016, a tragic incident occurred when a 2-year-old child was fatally attacked by an alligator near the lagoon's shoreline. The child was pulled into the water while playing at the edge of a beach area. As soon as the child's father arrived, the animal escaped into deeper water. It took the child with it. A large-scale search was conducted, and the child's remains were recovered the following day. The death was ruled a drowning with traumatic injuries caused by the attack. The family vacation came to an unexpected and heartbreaking close, leaving the family with memories they would never forget. Wonders Life Attraction. A ride once pushed guests inside the human body itself, turning biology into a full-speed journey they could feel in their bones. Inside the futuristic halls of Epcot, Body Wars once invited guests into a world where science fiction met human biology. Tucked inside the Wonders of Life pavilion, it imagined visitors being shrunk into a medical pod and launched through pulsing arteries and vast cellular landscapes built through motion simulation and screen-based storytelling. The story was exaggerated, but the ride itself remained a bone-shaking experience. Much like early simulator attractions of its era, guests were warned about health sensitivities, especially those with heart conditions or medical risks, because of the rapid motion and intense visual effects. In 1995, a reported incident involved a young child who experienced a serious medical emergency after riding. Later assessments suggested an underlying congenital heart condition as a likely factor. Over time, the Wonders of Life Pavilion closed in 2007 and Body Wars faded into memory, remembered as part of Epcot's bold experiment in blending education, imagination, and the physical limits of thrill technology. Broken track incident. One small failure in a switching instruction turned a routine journey into a tragedy no one inside the system expected. The Walt Disney World Monorail system had long stood as one of the most recognizable transportation networks in any theme park, known for its smooth elevated routes and futuristic design. For years, it carried guests safely across the resort and built a reputation for reliability and efficiency. In 2009, that reputation was broken when a switching instruction error resulted in 2 monorail trains being placed on the same track. A catastrophic collision followed. Monorail operator Austin Wenenberg was killed in the crash after his train struck another, with the front cabin sustaining severe impact damage that proved instantly fatal. Investigations later determined that a combination of procedural failure and human error during track switching had led to the accident. The incident deeply shocked Disney staff and guests, as the system had been widely regarded as one of the safest forms of transport on property. In the aftermath, Disney implemented stricter training procedures, clearer communication protocols, and improved automated safeguards to reduce the risk of future track misalignment and prevent a similar tragedy from occurring again. If you've made it this far, please hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Now back to the next. TEM Ride Tragedy. What started as a simple headache after a Disneyland attraction soon turned into a heartbreaking tragedy. A young woman left the ride feeling pain in her head, something that did not seem serious at the time. Guests experienced discomfort after rides every day, so nothing immediately appeared unusual. But the situation quickly became far more serious and later sparked a major legal dispute connected to the Indiana Jones adventure. On June 25, 2000, a 23-year-old guest rode the attraction before developing an intense headache shortly afterward. As the hours passed, her health rapidly declined, leading to an emergency trip to the hospital. Medical examinations revealed a brain hemorrhage caused by a cerebral aneurysm. Despite continued treatment, she passed away on September 1, 2000. Relatives later brought a wrongful death lawsuit against Disney, claiming the attraction's violent movements and strong physical pressure may have triggered the condition. The lawsuit did not accuse the ride of malfunctioning, but focused on whether extreme attractions could endanger people with hidden medical weaknesses. The case gained national attention after the California Supreme Court examined whether amusement parks should follow the same strict safety responsibilities required for airlines and trains. Disney later reached a settlement before the court delivered a final decision, while medical expenses were reported to exceed $1.3 million. The incident kept raising questions about ride safety. Time Rover Terror. Excitement can suddenly become dangerous when the human body is pushed beyond what it can safely handle. Inside Disney's Animal Kingdom, Dinosaur sends riders through a noisy and confusing journey across prehistoric scenes, filled with quick movements, sudden drops, twisting turns, and deep darkness during a frantic escape from a massive Tyrannosaurus Rex. The ride was created to feel intense and overwhelming while still operating under established amusement safety guidelines. Even so, powerful attractions may create dangers for guests who already suffer from medical problems, especially heart conditions or implanted devices including pacemakers. During 2005, 30-year-old Ryan Norman of Mooresville, Indiana, suffered a serious medical emergency not long after riding the attraction. According to reports, he began feeling sick after leaving the experience before collapsing nearby. He later passed away following a heart attack. Investigators determined the attraction was functioning properly, with no mechanical issue connected to the tragedy. Although officials never confirmed a direct connection between the ride and the death, the event showed how adrenaline, physical strain, and hidden health conditions may combine without warning. Cases like this show that safety measures cannot completely eliminate every possible danger. Silent Ride Incident. A quiet attraction once viewed as one of Disneyland's safest experiences would eventually become connected to two devastating accidents nobody expected. Disneyland's People Mover opened in 1967 as a peaceful transportation ride moving slowly through Tomorrowland. Created around Walt Disney's idea of future transportation, the attraction used constantly moving cars traveling above the park on an elevated track, allowing visitors to enjoy relaxing views of Tomorrowland and nearby attractions. The experience focused less on excitement and more on comfort and imagination, presenting futuristic ideas and scenes inspired by tomorrow's cities. Despite the ride's calm appearance and gentle pace, several tragic events became linked to dangerous actions by guests. In 1967, 15-year-old Ricky Lee Yama reportedly slipped onto the track while trying to enter a restricted section of the attraction. He was hit and pulled by approaching ride vehicles, suffering deadly injuries. Later, during a grad night celebration in 1980, 18-year-old Gerardo Gonzalez also died after a similar accident inside the superspeed tunnel, when reports stated he ignored safety instructions and entered a hazardous part of the ride area. Each tragedy ended with the same painful result, where one wrong decision inside a controlled attraction caused permanent loss and lasting heartbreak for everyone involved. The incidents remain among Disneyland's darkest reminders about safety rules and mistakes. Matterhorn Tragedy. Legacy. Many people only see a stunning snowy mountain, but the Matterhorn conceals a dark history. Its renowned peaks were constructed through remarkable engineering, yet they are marked by real-life tragedies. The ride's magic is inseparable from the accidents that occurred there within it. The Matterhorn Bobsleds at Disneyland debuted as a groundbreaking attraction, the world's first steel roller coaster, symbolizing a revolutionary step toward immersive thrill rides. Guests were captivated by its snow-covered summit, winding tracks, and dizzying descents that recreated the thrill of bobsledding through the Alps. However, alongside its iconic status and Disney charm, the mountain has also carried a somber history of tragedies that have unfolded over the years across time. Back in 1964, a young teen named Mark Maples visited Disneyland, full of excitement for a day filled with adventure and fun. Among the park's many attractions, he boarded the iconic Matterhorn Bobsleds, prepared for a thrilling ride. However, in a bold and impulsive moment, Mark stood up during the ride, hoping to heighten the thrill. That choice proved devastating indeed. Losing his balance, he fell from the speeding bobsled and suffered critical injuries. Doctors tried to save Mark, but he died only a few days after the accident occurred. Years passed, yet the mountain wasn't finished. In 1984, another rider ignored the rules, and the same harsh lesson repeated itself. Then, in 2003, even someone who worked there, a cast member, died during routine maintenance work duties. Space Mountain Ride History. Reaching top speeds of around 32 miles per hour, the ride is engineered to feel dizzying yet exciting, using darkness to intensify thrill experience. Space Mountain remains one of Disneyland's most iconic indoor roller coasters, originally debuting in 1977 to the public. The ride carries guests on a fast journey through total darkness, simulating outer space travel. Riders sit in rocket-style vehicles that twist, drop, and accelerate through sharp turns, sudden descents, and visual effects like stars, planets, and meteors throughout the ride. Over the years, Space Mountain has stayed a popular attraction, recognized for its immersive design and strong sensory experience. However, like many thrill rides, it has been linked to occasional medical incidents involving guests experiencing discomfort from motion and darkness effects during the ride. In a reported 1979 case, a 31-year-old woman named Cheryl Ann Hoffman fell ill after riding the attraction there. Reports said she was unable to exit normally and was later discovered unresponsive after a second ride cycle. She was taken for medical treatment, but died a week later. The coroner ruled her death as natural causes linked to an undiagnosed medical condition. America Sings Tragedy. Amid joy and lively music, an unseen threat quietly turned happiness into horror. The America Sings attraction at Disneyland debuted in 1974 as a lively tribute to American music. Beneath its cheerful performances lies a deeply tragic incident involving 18-year-old hostess Deborah "Debbie" Stone, a recent high school graduate. Debbie eagerly took on the role of guiding visitors through the innovative rotating theater, where a moving auditorium rotated around stationary stages. Sadly, on July 8th, just 9 days after the attraction's debut, Debbie unknowingly moved too close to concealed hidden gap between the rotating wall and fixed platform. As the theater shifted, she became trapped within the narrow space. Her cries for help sadly went largely unheard, as visitors mistook them for part of the attraction's sound effects. In spite of immediate efforts to stop the ride and save her, Debbie succumbed to her injuries. In the wake of this tragic incident, Disneyland temporarily closed the attraction to implement essential safety enhancements. These included installing warning lights, breakaway walls, sensors, and reinforced barriers. Debbie Stone's death remains one of Disneyland's most tragic tragedies, serving as an enduring, lasting example of the utmost importance of safety measures to prevent such incidents from ever occurring again. A sky ride turned tragic. A single moment of leaving a ride vehicle turned a cartoon river into tragedy. Splash Mountain was a log flume attraction that combined storytelling with fast-moving water drops, animatronic scenes, and carefully timed boat movement through winding themed environments. Behind the cheerful music and cartoon characters, the ride depended on strict water flow control, precise spacing between boats, and continuous loading timing that left little room for disruption. In one reported incident involving a 37-year-old guest, the man exited his log boat during the ride. despite safety rules requiring passengers to remain seated throughout the cycle. Witnesses indicated he was not pushed, but after stepping onto the ride path, he was struck by another incoming boat, resulting in fatal injuries. He was transported to a hospital but later died, and authorities classified the case as resulting from guest action rather than mechanical failure. The incident reinforced strict ride safety rules, especially the importance of staying inside moving vehicles on continuously operating water attractions. The attraction was later reimagined as Tiana's Bayou Adventure, marking the end of its original era in theme park history. It remains a reminder that themed attractions depend as much on discipline as imagination. Disney Skyway. What looked like effortless flight above Disney once hid fatal risk. The Disney Skyway was an open-air gondola system that once connected sections of Magic Kingdom, gliding guests above rooftops, pathways, and themed lands in a slow, floating journey that felt more like drifting than transportation. But behind the calm experience, the ride depended on a continuously moving cable system where gondolas never fully stopped at stations, requiring strict timing and precise coordination from workers on the platforms. In 1999, during a maintenance operation, a 65-year-old employee working on a loading platform was caught in a dangerous moment when a passing gondola moved through the station. In a split-second reaction, he attempted to steady himself by grabbing it, but lost his grip and fell approximately 40 feet. He was rushed to the hospital, but later died from his injuries. Officials ruled the incident an accident, though it raised serious questions about safety procedures around continuously moving ride systems. The Skyway was permanently closed later that same year, ending its run as a beloved but ultimately risky attraction, and leaving behind a reminder that even the most peaceful views can hide mechanical danger. Safety lessons change Disney operations in lasting ways forever. Haunted Mansion. The scariest part of the Haunted Mansion didn't happen inside its walls. On October 6th at Disneyland in California, guests stepped out of the attraction still smiling, the eerie lighting and staged ghosts already fading behind them. What followed outside the exit, however, shifted the mood instantly from amusement to emergency. According to authorities, a woman in her 60s became unresponsive shortly after completing the ride. Anaheim Fire and Rescue responded quickly, while Disneyland staff began life-saving CPR at the scene. The contrast between the playful attraction she had just experienced and the urgency unfolding outside was stark. She was transported to a nearby hospital, where she was later pronounced dead despite medical efforts. Officials stated that the case appears to be a medical episode unrelated to any ride malfunction or park operations. The Haunted Mansion reopened shortly afterward, continuing its usual cycle as guests came and went, unaware of what had occurred. An official cause of death has not yet been released, pending further examination. Moments like this underline how quickly public spaces can shift from entertainment to emergency, leaving behind questions that often remain unanswered until official reports arrive. Life continues around them, regardless of what happened there. Building an unforgettable attraction requires creativity balanced with caution, because even one small mistake can have consequences. These incidents remain reminders that safety rules exist not to reduce excitement, but to protect it. Lessons carried forward from past tragedies still matter as amusement parks continue growing and changing. The sense of wonder survives only when guests stay aware and respect instructions. In the end, families should leave the park carrying memories, laughter, and moments instead of heartbreak, fear, sorrow, or regret.